It's Super Bowl week, and it's time for bracket fights, everybody. Welcome back to the First and Gold podcast. I am your host, Sam Gold, and we have a very special Super Bowl themed bracket for you guys, and we are going to find out what the best Super Bowl moment was since 2010, the modern era. And guys, to make it fair, we have the last 16 Super Bowls. So this is our bracket here. As you see, we got all these different types of matchups. And I'm going to pick the best moment from each game to go head-to-head against each other. Because obviously, yes, one Super Bowl has a few better moments than another. But I picked the top moment from each game. So we're going to figure out by the end of this video what the best moment is overall. Here we go. First matchup. All right, we have the game-sealing play in Packers-Steelers where it was off of Mike Wallace's hands. It was 4th and 5. The Steelers were down 6, and the Packers made a defensive play to end the game. Versus the overtime dynasty-sealing game-winning touchdown for Mecole Hardman and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now listen, guys, I am a Chiefs fan, but I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, but I do think it's fair to say a game-winning touchdown in overtime with that many stakes definitely outbeats, yes, a game-winning play where they were up 6, but listen, the Packers in that entire Super Bowl were up, and it kind of felt like the Steelers just inched their way back for the Packers to kind of say, no, we're still the better team today, and we're going to seal this victory. The Chiefs, that was a hard-fought win. That was gritty and intense the entire way through. Mahomes sealing his legacy, having that nice drive at the end of the game to seal it off to Mecole Hardman, of all people, who's kind of had an up-and-down career with the Chiefs. Then to go out and get the game winner to make them a dynasty is just all the more worth it, especially if you're a Chiefs fan. Just a crazy moment. He was wide open. It was kind of a similar play to the 2 wide-open touchdowns the Chiefs had in the Super Bowl prior. So overall, yes, it was nice to see a game-sealing play for the Packers, their first Super Bowl win since, 1995 or whatever it was. But I'm picking the Chiefs, overtime touchdown, better moment. I hand-selected these plays from these Super Bowls of what I thought was the best moment, like Steelers-Packers, for instance. You could argue the Nick Collins pick 6 or one of Aaron Rodgers' great touchdown passes maybe was better. I picked that specific play at the end because I just thought it ended up being a close game, and you got to give the Packers props for closing it out on 4th down. I thought it was close. But, with these Super Bowls, one is obvious, Malcolm Butler interception on the 1-yard line. Everybody knows the story. Versus Leonard Fournette getting a long touchdown run to pretty much put that Super Bowl out of range for the Chiefs. And some people could argue maybe there's another play from that Bucs game that was more important, but I think overall in terms of a Bucs highlight, since they were the winning team, that was the better play. But if you're comparing these two plays, I just don't even think it's close, because this might be one of the most iconic plays in NFL history, if not the most iconic play. So I'm going to go ahead and pick an easy Malcolm Butler interception to beat out Leonard Fournette's touchdown in Super Bowl 55. And listen, guys, this is since 2010, so yes, we are not having the helmet catch or the Santonio Holmes catch in the year after in the Cardinals Super Bowl. But look, we still got a lot of great moments, so buckle in. We got our third matchup here. We got Tracy Porter, game-sealing pick 6 to finally let Saints fans have something to look forward to and to hang their hat on. Such a starved franchise up until that point. To go up against a Titan in that Colts team and Peyton Manning, and to pick him off at the end for the city of New Orleans, especially after Hurricane Katrina. Just an emotional moment for those fans in that franchise. Versus the Cooper DeJean pick 6 against the Chiefs last year's Super Bowl. And listen, the Cooper DeJean play was great. It really showed a huge moment of weakness for Mahomes in that game. Because look, you can definitely point to Mahomes' offensive line being a major reason why they weren't in that game. But at the same time, Mahomes rolled out. He had plenty of time to throw it. And he just threw a terrible pass to Cooper DeJean, who on his birthday as a rookie basically led all the momentum for the Eagles to keep on going and to pretty much lead that game to being a blowout. So I think that was the most important play of that game. But overall, guys, just for the storyline in general and for that franchise, and the fact that it was only a 7-point game in the 4th quarter when the Tracy Porter pick happened, I'm going to go ahead and pick that play as being the better play. So Saints and Tracy Porter move on as we have our final matchup of the first 8 here, which is Jacoby Jones's 109-yard kick return to open the 3rd quarter in the Ravens-Niners Super Bowl, that was the longest play in NFL Super Bowl history, versus the Mario Manningham catch from the Giants. And I think I'm going to go with the Manningham catch. And it's funny because obviously the Giants have won 2 Super Bowls with Eli. In both games, they were not favored. Both games, it was just crazy to think that Brady and that Patriots team could just choke like that against the Giants and Eli Manning, because both of those times that the Giants won the Super Bowl, they weren't even that great in the regular season. Just like in 2007 when Manning had the helmet catch play, now we have Manningham. And I honestly think this is a better play and a better throw from Manning overall than the helmet catch. The helmet catch was an amazing catch, obviously, and it was one of the biggest moments in NFL history to then lead to an undefeated team of the Patriots losing. But with this Manningham catch, I mean, I've never seen a more perfect ball dropped in the bucket of a receiver. On the sideline as well, great toe tap by Manningham. And then that led up the game-winning touchdown drive where Ahmad Bradshaw then leaned his way back into the end zone. They took the lead and they won the game. I really do think that, one, the Manningham play is a little bit better than Jacoby Jones. Yes, I know it was the longest play in Super Bowl history, but you got to remember, guys, the Ravens were up 21-3 in that game, and that only led to a bigger blowout in that moment. So I think the Giants down, it was such a close game. It was Brady trying to get his revenge, but Eli saying, no, I'm going to pull out another great highlight and beat you guys. I'm picking the Manningham play. All right, and now we have McCole Hardman versus Malcolm Butler. Now here's where, you got to say as a Chiefs fan, even though you love that play, one of the greatest moments in Chiefs history, obviously it's intense that you won it in overtime. You got to go with Malcolm Butler here. I mean, that is just one of the most shocking play calls of all time. One of the great stories for Malcolm Butler himself. A guy who wasn't really an elite player, but has practiced jumping that route in practice many times and then used that in the Super Bowl in the biggest moment to win their game for the first time in 10 years. They got a ring, and it basically changed the trajectory of both of those franchises, which, shout out also, this is the Super Bowl matchup this year. So a lot of things going on, but yes, one of the most iconic plays in NFL history. I'm going Malcolm Butler. This one's interesting. Manningham versus Tracy Porter. Oh, man. I think for sure for a specific team and fan base, that Tracy Porter play was more significant, and it was just such a crazy moment. But if you really, guys, I know I already said this, but if you guys just go back and watch this throw from Manning, I mean, one of the most perfect throws in NFL history in the biggest moment, to then go up and beat Brady twice in a little bit of a closer game as well. Like, here's the thing. The Saints sealed it with the pick six, but they were already winning, and the Colts were more desperate. The Giants were the more desperate team in that moment because they were down 2 points against the Patriots, and they needed a play like that. So this is really close. I'm honestly going to pick the Manningham catch over Tracy Porter, although this was really, really close. So comment down below what you guys think about this matchup. And then finally, we got Manningham versus Malcolm Butler. Listen, I've hyped up the Manningham play this entire time, but a play I've hyped up just a little bit more is the Malcolm Butler pick. I gotta have that go to the finals. As we move on to our second part of the bracket, we have the Aaron Donald game-sealing pressure against Joe Burrow in Super Bowl 56 on 4th down. Everybody remembers the iconic play, or the iconic gesture he made afterwards where he pointed to his ring finger, and it was kind of this solidifying moment for Aaron Donald in his career. He's been one of the best defensive players in NFL history, and then for him to go out and end that game himself, get himself a ring, put himself in the most upper echelon of the entire NFL. Huge moment, of course. But then you got Mahomes. The year after, Super Bowl 57, the score was 35-35. What a great shootout it was. And Mahomes, on 2nd down, takes off for like a 40-yard run, gets him into field goal range on a bum ankle. After all that's happened this season, people didn't know if he was going to go back and win another Super Bowl after his first one. And then that just led to the end of that game where they were in field goal range. They kicked the game winner and got a 2nd ever ring because of the help of that crazy play under pressure, especially against that Eagles pass rush to take off like that. You got a lot of balls to do that. So, this one's really close. I think, it's hard not to use my bias on this one, but I think Donald versus that Bengals offensive line was an easier matchup for Donald to break through on that play, especially since it's the last play. You got to give it your all. For Mahomes to do that against that Eagles defense tied on the bum ankle, I think is just slightly more impressive. So overall, I know you guys are going to call me biased. This one's really close. I am going to pick the Mahomes run. This one's going to be pretty easy. Jet Chip Wasp, which if you guys don't know that play in Super Bowl 54, Mahomes' first win as a Chief. Midway through the fourth quarter, down 10, and you have to make a magic play. And that's exactly what happened. Mahomes was kind of struggling the entire time, and he launched it to a wide open Tyreek Hill to completely shift the momentum of that game. And then from there on out, the Chiefs scored 21 unanswered points and won the game by 11, handing the Chiefs their first Super Bowl win in 50 years. So that was a huge play, but guys, I can't deny this is one of the coolest, gutsiest plays in NFL history, which is the Philly special. If you guys don't know, the Eagles were up 3 late in the second half. It was the final play. They could have just played it safe, took a field goal, but no, they went with a trick play where they had their tight end, Trey Burton, throw it to their backup quarterback, Nick Foles, for a touchdown to go up 10, keep the momentum on their side, and then eventually win the Super Bowl. And it is just extremely gutsy. Everybody remembers the iconic clip of Nick Foles going up to Doug Peterson and saying, "You want to run Philly, Philly." This was the best play in Eagles franchise history. So it's hard for me to click against the Chiefs here, but got to go Philly special. All right, next up, this is going to be close. It's Von Miller's strip sack against Cam Newton in Super Bowl 50. If everybody remembers, it was a 6-point game in the fourth quarter. Cam Newton kind of went towards the ball and then pulled away, which a lot of people criticize him for, but that was the biggest moment for the Broncos to win that game versus Malcolm Smith's pick 6. They were already up 15-0 in that game against the Broncos. One of the most underrated and random Super Bowl MVPs of all time. Shout out Malcolm Smith. But listen, guys, one game was closer. One moment was more iconic with Cam Newton pulling away versus the Malcolm Smith play, even though it was a great pick 6. I'm going to go ahead and pick Von Miller's strip sack. All right, and then we have a couple Patriots moments here. We got Stephon Gilmore's fourth quarter interception to pretty much seal the deal against the Rams, which they were just having an awful day on offense, and that was just the icing on the cake. It was 10-3 late in the game, and then Stephon Gilmore just easily caught a game-winning interception, which was an underthrown ball because Jared Goff had pressure, versus one of the greatest catches I have ever seen. One of the best concentration plays as well. This is the Julian Edelman fourth quarter catch against the Falcons. Of course, everybody remembers one of the best comebacks in NFL history on the biggest stage. Julian Edelman caught it, tipped it, kept it in his hands with 3 defenders around him. Yeah, we all know where we're going with the catch here. So I don't even have to explain myself. All right, now we're going back up. We got the Philly special versus the Mahomes run. Once again, kind of like Jet Chip Wasp, although I love that Mahomes run. It was a great play. I got to go with the iconic Philly special to move on. It's just, listen, it's the Philly special. How much more do I need to explain? All right, and then we do have the Edelman catch versus the Von Miller strip sack. Man, I do think, even though the Von Miller strip sack was like one of the only huge plays of that game versus Patriots Falcons where there were just so many moments, I still think how impressive the Edelman catch was in that comeback in that moment is still the better play overall. Now, I love watching Von Miller play. He had a great MVP performance, but overall, that Edelman catch is something that could never be replicated over just a strip sack that you see pretty often. So I'm going to go Edelman catch. All right, and which moment is going to the finals? We got the Philly special versus the Edelman catch. I mean, I don't even know. This is the toughest one by far. Now, the play of the Philly special itself was executed really great. And yes, it's tough for a quarterback in a big moment to catch a touchdown pass. But the skill that is required for Edelman to make that play over 3 defenders, you gotta say, especially that they ended up coming back and winning that game with the help of that play. Eagles were already up. Yes, I think the Eagles play was gutsier and it was a bigger play call. And it was a little more iconic to see a guy like Nick Foles make a play like that as a backup. This is so close, guys. But I think, I am going to go with the Edelman catch just on how impressive that play was. But listen, here's the finals. Best moment since 2010 in a Super Bowl. I have Malcolm Butler's interception on the 1-yard line versus the Edelman catch. I've been glazing the Edelman catch this entire video. But guys, I mean, we really knew where we were getting here. I mean, listen, if the helmet catch was in this video or the Santonio Holmes touchdown, maybe there would be an argument, but there's nothing more iconic than Malcolm Butler. I mean, just the call from Al Michaels, and it was intercepted at the goal line. Malcolm Butler.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
If you guys don't understand how big that moment was, it literally shifted a second dynasty to happen for the Patriots, which then led to them winning another game with the Edelman catch. But they wouldn't have a fifth ring if it wasn't for Malcolm Butler. So I think overall, in terms of NFL history, denying the Seahawks of their possible dynasty, just having it be that close, like 1 inch away, a defensive play, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick the Malcolm Butler interception to be the best play in the Super Bowl in the modern era. There you go, guys. Here is our full bracket to the end. And guys, comment down below what you think. Do you think I did a good job? Am I completely wrong? Shout it out in the comments. And guys, if you're enjoying this content, we got plenty more brackets, rankings, tier lists, any types of videos. Comment down below what you guys want in the offseason. And don't forget to follow us at First and Gold on Instagram and TikTok. I'm your host, Sam Gold. Thank you guys for watching and enjoy the Super Bowl. Goodbye.